So as someone that owns a brokerage or a team and you're out recruiting, because you're supposed to be recruiting every day, at least 1 hour a day. And if you're not doing that, that's a whole nother conversation. But let's assume you're doing your job. You're recruiting every single day because that's the number one way you're going to bring new people into your office. And you get an objection. How do you look at objections? Do you look at them as opportunities? Is it something that is like off-putting? Does it scare you? Is it something that you embrace or you run from? How do you look at objections? Well, objections are just like when we're talking to a buyer and seller. Objections actually show interest in what you're talking about. The worst thing that can happen to you when you're recruiting is that they don't give you any objections at all. They don't respond. Their eyes glass over, and they don't want to hear from you. They just like you're a nuisance. You're just like swatting you away like a fly. And we've all experienced that too if you've recruited for any length of time. But the objections are actually the reverse of that. Objections show interest in what you're talking about. They're showing some level of process that's happening behind their eyes, and they're thinking and they're processing what you're saying, and that's a good thing. We want that to happen. But let me tell you something that will really help you with your objection handling technique, and that is to anticipate concerns. And so when you put yourself in the shoes of the person you're recruiting, in other words, you look at it from their viewpoint, what are the objections you would have about joining your own firm? If you wrote down what are the 3 or 4 or 5 biggest objections somebody would have to joining you, then you can start to think about what will be the best answer to those objections. And I call this taking the sting out, because if you don't take the sting out, you're going to have a problem. I'll give you a quick example. I had a friend of mine who listed a house that was on a hill, so it had a steep driveway, but it had this incredible $1 million view, but she couldn't get anybody to buy it. Every time somebody would come out, they'd say, they get there, they're like, oh my gosh, this driveway is way too steep. They wouldn't even come up to look at the house. They'd call the agent and say, I'm not going to even come in. It's too steep for my clients. They brought me up. I talked to the seller, and we sat down. I said, what do you think the number one reason why is we're not selling this property? And they said, because of the driveway. I said, you're absolutely right. It's the driveway. But there's a way to overcome it. But you got to be comfortable with it. And they said, what is it? I said, we got to take the sting out. And what do you mean? I said, well, what do you mean by that, taking the sting out? I said, we got to just tell up front that there's a steep driveway. But the benefit is that there's an incredible $1 million view. You don't get the view without the driveway. So we adjusted the marketing. We just put it right out there. This home has $1 million view, but it also has a steep driveway to get to the view. Love to have you come out and experience this incredible view, one-of-a-kind view. And what do you think happened? Now, when people pull up, they already know there's a steep driveway. And so they start talking themselves into it. Well, it's not that steep. Yeah, well, we could probably deal with this. This is okay. Let's go out and look at it. We knew there was a steep driveway getting here. And what happened? We sold the house in a couple of weeks. The same thing for recruiting. When we tell the people in advance, can I tell you what are the biggest objections people tell me about joining my company? Can I tell you what they say? They're going to say, yeah, sure, tell me. And I'll say, well, the number one thing I hear is we're too big. Can I give you an answer for that? Can I tell you my perspective on that? Well, they don't want to join us because we're a cloud-based brokerage. They don't want to join us because we're part of a franchise. They don't want to join us because of this, of location, or whatever. There's going to be these 3 or 4 or 5 things. You already know what they are. You're no dummy. You know what they are. But if you're able to answer them in an effective way and spin it to a positive, now you can start to get somewhere, and you're going to feel much more confident, much more comfortable when you're talking to somebody. They may not agree, and that's okay, but at least we have an answer that we have formulated and we've thought through and we've taken the time to really digest, and this is going to be powerful for you. Part of having confidence is having competence, and competence is built from knowledge and really practice and repetition. That's where we get competent. We get really good at what we do, and then the confidence comes out. Guys, if you want more ideas and you want to really level up your recruiting processes and you want to take your business to the next level, and really the only way to do that as a brokerage owner is through recruiting, join us over at eRealEstateCoach and sign up for a discovery call with me, and it will be with me personally. And I'd love to have a conversation about your goals for the next year and how we can work together to really help you hit those goals. So sign up. It's easy. It takes about 5 minutes to do it. Love to see you over there. Have a great day and good selling.